Behind me is my 2004 Kawasaki Z1000. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Like I said, this bike is my 04 Kawi Z1000, and I've owned this thing for a couple of years now. It's been my main rider for the past 3 summers, I believe. And although I don't obviously beat the crap out of this thing, it's been pretty dead nuts reliable since the day that I bought it. When I first bought the bike, I went over everything and it did have a couple issues that I remedied. But since then, it has practically just been maintenance items on this thing. However, with the amount of riding that I do in a season, this bike does have a couple of small things that need to be repaired, as well as a couple of quirks that I'd like to deal with before the 2026 riding season. This turn signal seal has failed and it filled up with water, and this turn signal doesn't work anymore. This clutch lever is super loosey-goosey. The rear tire is pretty much on its last legs. This chain adjuster is fully extended at the end of its travel range. And as you can see, this chain is still as loose as your mother's. The radiator bracket needs to be re-welded on. Although this paint job is only 2 years old, I had a sticker on here that I didn't like, and when I ripped it off, as you can see, it pulled the paint with it. Obviously, there's a lot of cosmetic issues as well with this bike. It is over 20 years old and has probably seen some shit in its life. So, enough jibber jabber. Let's get my bike back to its former glory. Now, before we do anything, we need to figure out everything that we need, more specifically the stuff that we need for the chain and sprockets. Now, just judging by the way that this bike behaves and the fact that I'm pretty confident that the speedometer on it is out, I think we have an underdrive sprocket on the engine side. But to confirm that, we've got to go ahead and pull this cover off right here, and then we can see how many teeth are on that sprocket and whether my suspicions are correct or not. Hopefully they are, because if not, we got a much more complicated issue going on. So let's go ahead and get this thing on a stand and do some investigation. You know, no matter how many times I do this solo, it never gets any less sketchy. Oh man, that thing is gross. So I'm pretty sure that my suspicions were correct. So the factory front sprocket on this bike is supposed to be a 16 tooth sprocket. And as you can see, there's a little number there and it's a 15 tooth according to the part number anyways. However, one thing I've learned over my years of working on stuff like this is you never trust what's stamped on the part. So let's go ahead and make a reference mark on this gear and we'll count the teeth on it just to confirm that we do in fact have an underdriven sprocket. So basically all I'm going to do is just wipe off one tooth there. We're just going to make a mark so we know which one it was, like so. And then I like to take some sort of device just to point so that I don't lose track. But we'll start at that mark and start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we started with this one. So this is, in fact, a 15 tooth sprocket, which is incorrect for this bike and the reason why the speedometer was off. So that is good news. We will be going back to the factory size sprocket, which, like I said, is a 16 tooth. So I just went ahead and came back to this rear sprocket as well. And as you can see, it's marked as 42 teeth, and I just counted, and it is in fact 42 teeth. So now, knowing that this only needs a couple sprockets and a chain, we can go ahead and order some parts up. I think I'm also going to go ahead and order a couple of these dowels as well, because these things are crusty, and we're going to probably have to take them out to go ahead and clean this piece up, get it all nice for reinstallation. Well, I'm not going to lie to you guys. In true power sports fashion, I just spent quite a bit of money ordering, to be honest with you, not that many parts for this thing. And some of them don't even have a shipping date yet. So for now, I guess we're just going to have to tinker with the stuff that we can work on while we wait for everything to come in. However, I should probably make sure that this bike still runs, as it hasn't been started since it was put away last fall. So let's pop a battery in this thing and give you guys a good old-fashioned cold start. Sidebar conversation. You guys with these batteries that have the post styles like this on your bikes, are there replacement blocks for these screws to screw into that are a little bit deeper? I find, since I have a bunch of accessories running to my battery leads, that it's always such a pain in the butt to get these screws started into these blocks. If you know anybody that sells larger blocks to fill up this gap instead of having to run a longer screw or something like that, let me know down below in the comments. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I always end up having to do some crazy song and dance to get these stupid things started. Alright, guys. Moment of truth. Very nice. I probably shouldn't have done that because now I am itching to take this thing out. Our riding season around these parts unfortunately only lasts a couple months, especially if you're like me and don't want to ride in the early season where there's a bunch of road salt and road debris out. All we can do is cross our fingers that our parts show up in a timely manner. But for now, I guess we're going to have a little bit of patience. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, now is a good time to do so you don't miss any of the uploads on this build or any builds that we do in the future. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!